The following is a presentation of the News Center 8 Specials Unit.
Who was the team to beat this year?
The Indians are definitely alive in '95.
They're going all the way to the World Series.
Tonight on News Center 8's Interview.
He's got a temperature of 103 for Minions fever.
This team is firing up baseball fans across the country.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The championship tastes so sweet because the seasons haven't always been this good.
It's been all my life since they've done what they've done right now.
I had players come up to my office and cry because they wanted to be traded.
This player's journey to the majors began in a neighborhood where hardball is played at a very early age.
This is where Manny came from. I think I'm the only guy who got out of the neighborhood doing the right thing.
And the road to the World Series could wind its way right through the state of Ohio.
Reds, Indians, Reds. Don't listen to them.
That is the hottest shirt that we have right now.
It's Indians baseball. It's building to a fever pitch. And it's an interview you won't want to miss.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Macy McInnes.
And I'm Tim Taylor. Welcome to another edition of News Center 8's Interview.
Tribe momentum. Who can't feel it these days? You know, even if you aren't a baseball fan, you have got to be proud of our Cleveland Indians.
Sports fans from across the country are watching the Tribe, not only because they have the best record in the Major League, but because everyone loves a comeback story.
But the comeback story is only part of tonight's special interview. Our show also is about a dream that just wouldn't die for a young baseball player, a major league team, and a city filled with patient fans.
It's taken 40 years to get where we are tonight, and to truly appreciate the view, you have to remember where the Cleveland Indians have been.
Go Tribe!
The first pitch at the ballpark is still 3 hours away, but the celebration down in the flats is already into extra innings. An early victory party marking the Indians' first championship in 4 decades.
5:35 at Jeffrey Flash. We are broadcasting live. It's the official Indians Clinch Party.
At 6:30, the gates at Jacobs Field finally open. The skies begin to clear, but the air is heavy with anticipation.
It's our turn. Hello. We waited 41 years for this.
Gabe Paul used to call this town a sleeping giant, a town whose team has been in a deep slumber since 1954. If that's the case, then this 95 Tribe is one heck of an alarm clock.
That's beautiful.
How about that?
Marilyn Schick's been coming to Indians games for 59 years.
I've had that about 12 or 14 years.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Indian fan all the way.
Like Bill and Dolores Gutermuth, long enough ago to remember the good old days.
Mitchell, Lemon, Feller, all of them, we got to touch them, be with them. They used to come right up and talk to us. We used to jack school just to come to the game and see the guys. Wonderful spirit.
They were great teams. It's been a long time, though, since we had that winner. 41 years, 41 years, 41 years, 41 years.
It's the 9th inning with Bertie Tebbets at bat. Here's the pitch, and Tebbets swings, and there's a hot shot down the third baseline.
The Cleveland Indians were a remarkably successful team from 1948 to 1956. They won 2 pennants.
Yes, the Cleveland Indians win their first American League pennant in 28 years.
They finished second 5 times. They averaged about 90-odd victories a year. They, for the most part, they drew 1 million plus every year to that ballpark.
86,288 paid fans overflow Cleveland's gigantic municipal stadium.
In his book, Endless Summer, writer Jack Torrey details the demise of one of baseball's best franchises, the Cleveland Indians.
They had every reason to believe, as this team does today, that they were going to be a successful franchise for the next 30, 40 years. But bad management will overcome all these advantages.
One of the reasons I think the Indians are doing so well this year is that stadium over there.
Today, Ted Bonda looks with pride and, yes, a little envy from his office overlooking Jacobs Field. Bonda owns the company that sells peanuts at Tribes games. 17 years ago, he was principal owner of the Indians.
Do you find just a bit of irony in the fact that at one time you owned the team and now you're selling peanuts? At the game? Did you find a little bit of irony in that?
No, I'm glad I'm selling peanuts too.
Selling peanuts seems like a natural progression for Bonda. Like his predecessors, he was forced to play a shell game to help keep the team solvent, keep the team in Cleveland.
How close did this team really get to moving out of the city?
It came pretty close in a number of ways. There was some talk of sharing the team with Cincinnati, some talk of sharing the team with Toronto, both owners. And there were plenty of offers, pretty good offers to move the team.
Take your pick. The Tribe almost became the Minnesota Indians, the Tampa Bay Indians, the Houston Indians, or the Seattle Indians.
And in 1971, Vernon Stover, the owner of the ball club, who proved he knew more about spinach souffle than about baseball, Vernon had a deal in the works where he was going to transfer about 25 home games from Cleveland to New Orleans to play in the new Superdome. And eventually I'm convinced the team would have moved to New Orleans.
The team's troubled finances were compounded by poor judgment. General manager Frank Trader Lane epitomized the front office follies, sending the popular power-hitting Rocky Colavito to the Tigers for gimpy-kneed batting champion Harvey Keene.
It was 1961 when I first thought about it.
Businessman Hal Axelband started the fan-based Wahoo Club to help save the team.
In those days, there was a gentleman named Jack Russell who was president of Cleveland Council and a power in the market, and he decided to show that, yes, there was fan interest.
That baseball is not dead in the Cleveland area.
Dead? Maybe not. In critical condition? Absolutely.
Got it! A perfect game for Lenny Barker!
Team management continued to trade and sell off young stars like Dennis Eckersley. As the Indians pinched pennies, promising players went on to help other teams win pennants.
Greg Nettles swears they used that Gabe Paul in 1970 and 71 would have them fly out, and I think I have this right, he would have them fly out in the late afternoon of an away game so he wouldn't have to pay him meal money that day.
Indian players never went hungry, but for the past 41 years, Tribe fans have been starving for a winner. Maybe it was all a bad dream, a nightmare that may be finally over.
Ladies and gentlemen, here
Later on interview, the Tribe overcomes tragedy to finally triumph after 41 years. But up next, his journey to the majors began here. Manny Ramirez looks back when News Center 8's interview returns.
This is Audubon Avenue. This is where 2 years ago there was a firebombing of a fire truck. And the riot of 2 years ago, this whole avenue was, every other corner was lit up with fires. What the hell's that?
The drug dealers' radios. Yeah, they use radios. They use walkie-talkies.
New York police officer Mickey Fontanez patrols Washington Heights on the island of Manhattan.
Shell casing, 38.
It's a haven for drugs and violence.
Basically, crack is actually going out the window, too. Heroin is coming back.
It seems like an impossible place to escape. How did you escape that?
Maybe because, all my friends play baseball, and I put my mind just to play baseball, not to hang around in the street.
I remember in school when we used to take classes together, the teacher used to ask, what's Manny? I said, look out the window, Manny's playing baseball.
I used to wake up early, like 6 a.m., do like 15 sprints, and then go to school.
Our neighborhood is right there across the bridge. Everybody just want to come see him play.
The majority of the guys here, we grew up with Manny Ramirez all together. Went to the same high school, Washington High School.
Jose Mateo owns Peligro Sports. Translated, it means dangerous sports.
The first time we bought about like 50 tickets.
Peligro organizes the cheering section.
Now, about 350.
It's Manny Ramirez, the most
most famous person to come out of Washington Heights in maybe a long time?
Yes. They got a senator that came out a long time, but that was back in the 50s.
We're very proud to have from the Cleveland Indians, Mr. Manny Ramirez.
When he's in New York,
Do you have any secrets to good hitting?
Manny's in demand.
What kind of car do you drive?
You get a lot of groupies.
Sometime.
When you were drafted by the Indians and the Yankees were trying to get you, which team did you want to go to more?
Yankees.
Cleveland, you stink! Cleveland's the best.
Yeah. What do you want to sign, Meatball?
He signs, and he signs, and he signs.
Welcome to old mansion.
Fontanez is also a friend of the Ramirez family.
You walk in here with like a small little, I don't know where.
It's almost like a shrine, almost. Huh?
You could say so, yeah. You come, there's baseball cards here. His minor league player of the year bat there. Pictures of him there. All over the place. Not much of a backyard, but not much of a backyard.
Yeah, I can't play baseball back here.
Nah, not at all.
He played 4 blocks away at George Washington High School. Is it turf?
Yes, it is.
You're kidding.
Kid you not. He used to tear up the league here, this guy.
Manny became local legend here. Kids like 12-year-old Robinson Ramirez, who lost his hand in an accident, know the stories. A lot of kids that see Manny as an idol, as a baseball player.
I know everybody say that he got talent and stuff, and he didn't even know how to play. And it was his friend that put him to play baseball. And he didn't even know how to play, so he learned by himself.
This is Peligro. Best sandwich in Washington.
Good.
How you doing?
You show me the Manny stuff. Look at the wall. Peligro Sports is Manny's favorite hangout in Washington Heights. So this is just for a show in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
This isn't to sell.
No.
Wow, these are beautiful cards.
Yeah.
When we went back into Washington Heights and we went into Peligro Sports, I mean, everybody was like, "Oh, you're from Manny." I mean, they were so excited to see you there. And you have all the pictures of you and all the, you know, every article from when you were in high school until you got into the pros. I mean, they say you come back there all the time. Is that true?
Yeah, you know, because when I was leaving home, you know, I used to go to Peligro's place to meet with my friends to go work out in the gym. So we always meet there before we go to work out.
An impact player noted for his explosive bat speed and tape measure home runs, Manny Ramirez, George Washington High School, New York, New York. They tell me that you have hit the longest home runs in New York City history. Is that true? In Central Park, someone said you hit one out of sight. How true is that?
It was far. Maybe like 420.
Is that right? And that's incredible for a high school ball player. I saw your baseball cards and your arms are real skinny. Now they're huge. Nicknamed the Hitman.
Hitman.
No, I didn't know that was his nickname.
Yeah, people have to understand that he's not the same. He can't be Mr. Nobody. You understand? He can't be hanging out in the street drinking beer like other guys do. He can't be like going to those clubs that he used to go. He can't do that no more.
Will you ever forget them? They always think that you might become too big a superstar and then you won't go back to the neighborhood.
You know, I might change a little bit, you know, but I always gonna go there and talk to everybody, you know. I think the best thing that I did, you know, was move out of there, you know.
For Manny Ramirez, the road to the Cleveland Indians began in Washington Heights, New York. Now, the road to the World Series for the Cleveland Indians could run right through the state of Ohio, down I-71.
The Indians versus the Cincinnati Reds. Can you imagine? Don't even try. We'll play out the scenario for you when UCenter 8's interview returns. We'll be right back.
The Indians? Yeah, best team ever.
Vizquel will take it himself. He throws. Got it.
Better than the 54 Indians.
2-2 pitch. Strike 3 called. The inning is over.
Better than the 27 Yankees. They're loaded from top to bottom.
Murray with a deep drive to right. This ball is gone.
How many times do they do it? It's unbelievable.
He's got a temperature of 103 for Minions fever, but we're going to try to keep him on duty to handle this big crowd.
Indians fever.
Go Tribe!
It's an epidemic, and Northeast Ohio is infected.
Go Tribe!
The excitement of Cleveland Indians baseball.
We're going to win it all. We're going to win it all.
More than 4 decades of suffering.
been all my life since they've done what they've done right now.
Seem worth it to longtime fans.
After all these years, God, it's incredible.
Who are now wallowing in the wonderment of a winning tribe of Wahoos.
This is how we do it.
In the neighborhoods and downtown, the fever is everywhere.
Oh, I think they're the best in the world. I think they're the best in the world.
But are they the best team in Ohio? 250 miles to the south, down I-71, is the Queen City of Cincinnati, a town known for its chili.
It's a secret recipe. It just tastes great. It keeps me coming back.
And its love of the grand old game.
It's a baseball town, it's where it started.
When somebody identifies Cincinnati, it's...
Mike Wilson is the president of the Cincinnati Convention and Visitors Bureau.
They always identify Cincinnati with the Cincinnati Reds.
But this year...
Welcome to Riverfront Stadium.
Unlike their cousins to the north, Cincinnatians are taking a laid-back approach to their division-leading Reds. In Cleveland...
I'm trying to buy a ticket for this ball game.
You can't even buy a ticket. In Cincinnati...
There you go. Have a good seat.
They're giving them away.
Back home, Jacobs Field is a den of excitement. Here at Riverfront, it's a great place to take a nap.
Here's a high pop-up. That is out around second base.
The first-place Reds are barely drawing 20,000 fans a game. Why do you think the fans here are so laid back, so lackadaisical?
We put a lot of winners together for a lot of years.
Indeed, the Big Red Machine rolled to World Series championships in '75, '76, and again in 1990.
I think people just kind of come to expect it.
But one thing that does get Reds fans excited
71 World Series all the way.
Is the possibility of playing the Indians in mid-October.
Bring on the Indians, yeah!
In fact, the rivalry is already heating up.
I noticed you have that shirt that says Bring It On, the Interstate World Series. How popular are those shirts down here?
That is the hottest shirt that we have right now.
Now, you have a Reds shirt on, and he has a Cleveland shirt on.
He's got the wrong shirt on.
Right. When it comes to the Interstate World Series that we're going to play this year, who's going to win?
Reds.
No way. Indians.
Definitely. Reds.
Indians.
Reds.
Don't listen to them.
You're in the heart of Cincinnati Reds country with a Cleveland Indians jersey on.
Yeah, good, isn't it? I'm not even from here. I'm from England, so...
Why are you wearing an Indians jersey?
Well, I met this guy in the car park, and he said he would sell me tickets to an Indians game, so I came up thinking I was going to an Indians game. But I guess I'm not, right?
You got your cities mixed up.
Yeah, kind of. But it's all Ohio, right? So it's a small state.
A small state that hopes to cash in big time on a history-making sports extravaganza. Never before have the Indians and the Reds played for a world championship.
A World Series in the state of Ohio would generate tremendous publicity and lots of people coming here, great national attention.
Economically, it could range anywhere, depending on the number of games played, anywhere between $15 and $50 million per city.
In Cleveland, winning is music to the ears of fans starved for a contender. That's why most don't care who we play. But the possibility of facing the Reds in an I-71 interstate shootout is an intriguing possibility indeed.
The Indians are definitely alive in '95.
What do you think the Indians would do to the Cincinnati Reds if we played in the World Series?
They'd squash them like a bug.
4 games, baby. 4 games, we'd sweep them.
This is the year.
All the way.
1, 2, 3, strikes are out at the old ball game.
News Narrate's interview will return in a moment.
"41 years of frustration and futility, and it's all come down to this. 1 out away from the first championship in 41 years. Generations of Indian fans who endured through losing seasons, lousy luck, and untold tragedy. Like the time shortstop Ray Chapman was struck by a batted ball. He died just a few hours later. Or back when Fred Wiseman's dad was the team trainer, and pitcher Don Black died right on the field.
And just collapsed. And what he had was a cerebral aneurysm, and it killed him.
And the cruelest of all tragedies, the spring training boating accident that took the lives of 2 Tribe pitchers.
The Cleveland Indians, of course, will survive, and it is our hope and prayer to the families will continue to also be able to survive and put this behind them.
Yes, somehow we've all survived, survived what seems like a lifetime of losing seasons and ill-fated promotions.
We had this 10-cent beer night, and we got 28,000 people. Unfortunately, 26,000 of them got drunk, and we had a riot.
Today, Tribe fans are intoxicated by a newfound drug. It's called winning.
Going to the game, it's hard to believe. The crowds that are there and the cheering that goes on.
In the air, Toby at third, and this season of dreams has become a reality. Cleveland, you will have an October to remember.
It's just wonderful what's happening in Cleveland baseball. This has become a great baseball city.
Ask any baseball fan in the world which major league team deserves a shot at the World Series, and you would be hard-pressed to find someone who wouldn't agree. The Cleveland Indians have certainly paid their dues.
I mean, who would have ever imagined that the road to the World Series would run right through the Buckeye State down I-71? The prospect of Cleveland playing Cincinnati, it's a no-lose game for Ohioans.
And as playoff excitement builds into a fever pitch, we can thank the 1995 American League Central Division champs for already teaching us a major league lesson. Don't let go of your dreams, because someday, if you're patient and you keep working towards them, they just might come true.
Thank you for sharing your evening with us. We hope to see you on another edition of News Center 8's Interview in the coming months. Until then, you know the words.
That's right.
Go Tribe!